Well, I'm coming to this really from a perspective of believing that people organise their life and their sense of self as a narrative. We make sense of the moment as it passes as a narrative, and we meet the next moment and the next opportunity, either enabled or disabled, by the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. If we think we're a rubbish mathematician, well, we probably are. If we think we can't dance, well, we probably can't. Which is not to say that I could take myself out and beat Usain Bolt if I told myself I could, but it's a huge part of success or failure in life, is my core belief. And if you buy that, that's a fundamental about the way that the pedagogic relationship works and the purpose and point of primary schools or schools of any kind. It becomes about constructing biography, constructing a personal sense of story in the children that it's our privilege to work with and to love. And their experiences will forge their own personal stories. So for that reason, the use of narrative is critical in my practice as an educational leader and as a teacher. So in my own teaching, every single thing I do is based on a story. There's always a story at the heart of it. Sometimes that story expresses itself in a song, and I write a lot of music to do that. But also the stories themselves, whether it's Pinocchio or a story from the Bible or one of Aesop's fables, or it doesn't really matter, that narrative nails down all of the learning in the day, and it brings it into some sort of coherent, integrated whole. And the purpose of that really is that the children become very adept at manipulating narrative so that they can manipulate their own. And if they've got a story which is closing down life opportunities for them, well, they get to write a different one which opens up life opportunities for them, because that's the point. So in my own personal teaching, story's massive. I also think it's primal. I think it resonates with something very, very deep within us, tribal, prehistoric, about the way that we process information and the way that we make sense of the world, as I said earlier on. So stories are incredibly powerful because, just like music, they resonate with something deeply ancient and pre-cultural, really, in ourselves as animals, as a species. And I'm fascinated at the way in which we can organise learning such that it does tap in and tries to go with the grain of what we actually are as Homo sapiens. And story does that very powerfully. And as an educational leader, exactly the same thing applies. I mean, I'm privileged to lead 63 people in the school in which I'm a head teacher, adults, and the head teacher currently. And they need to have a sense of the mission of the school, the story of the institution, and what their part in that story is. And it had better be a glorious story. It had better be a heroic story. It had better be a story that's about the preservation of something golden and precious, because those are the stories that we really lift ourselves to Henry V, the Fellowship of the Ring. Those are the stories that we need to feel like we're on that kind of mission, because we absolutely are on that kind of mission. And if people feel that sense of story, then they can place themselves and their energies and their enthusiasms within that, and they feel like heroes. They feel like the heroes they are. They don't feel like people delivering some central government agenda which they may or may not share and agree with, or trembling in fear from the possible arrival of an inspection team sometime soon. They're engaged in something that is epic. And that's how they should feel, because that's exactly what education is.